Yo, what's up, Broncos country? How's it going tonight, guys? So we're here tonight to get our gut reaction from the Broncos' 16-14 loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. And Mohammed, gut reaction. What was your gut reaction to the game?
Eddie, I know we lost and everything, and the ending wasn't what we were looking for, but I was very proud of our team, honestly. Like they fought, they were very competitive. I mean, we almost won the game. So I wouldn't say it was the same way like it was last week with the Ravens. Um, but I came out of that game thinking about certain things, certain outcomes. Bo Nix is the real deal. He's the quarterback. He's a franchise quarterback. I don't care what everybody else has to say. This needs to stop. This is the quarterback. He's the real deal. Um, Estimate. I was very impressed, man. Like, where was that at? Like, I just yeah, and I loved him coming out of college and the way we drafted him and everything. But Javante, I think he's gone, man. This is the finale for Javante Williams. Yeah, he's gone. I don't see him. Like you said, next season he's not coming back. The defense, man, my hat salute to them, man. They did their thing, even though I know we're talking about this before we went live. Vance Joseph was playing a lot of zone but with the sacks and they were harassing him, Mahomes, the whole time. I mean, excuse me. Eddie, we almost beat the Chiefs. Really. Like we could have been talking about a win right now if we didn't miss that field goal. So I think we should be proud of our team. This is a really good indication of what could be in the future. So I'm very positive. Too bad we lost, but I'm very proud of the team.
The one thing that bothers me, and I know I've already been arguing with people since the game ended, and I really don't care anymore at this point. Like, there are certain games in this league that are, I'm sorry, they're scripted, they're rigged, whatever you want to call it. They really are. And they did it for, you could say, the Cowboys, 49ers. They've done it for the Patriots. They've done it for the Steelers. And now they're doing it for the Chiefs. Like, the Chiefs are the face of the NFL. And I said this during my halftime video I made earlier. It was during the second quarter where the Broncos were up 14-3. I think it was early second quarter. And the Chiefs got into Broncos territory and they got in field goal range. And I think it was Nick Benito came off the side and or off the edge and sacked Mahomes and took the Chiefs out of field goal range. And then wouldn't you know it, I called it before it even happened. I was like, anytime the Broncos
Flag.
make a good play or the Chiefs
Mhm.
make a bad play, there's instantly a flag that comes out
Yeah.
and saves them. And it happened again today. And honestly, that to me was the momentum shift. Um, Nick Benito gets back there. He sacks Patrick Mahomes for like a 10-yard loss, knocks him out of field goal range. You see the yellow come flying across the screen. I think it was like illegal contact or something.
Legal contact. Yeah.
A, Everybody was saying that was not illegal contact. Like he didn't have hands to the face. There wasn't nothing on that play. It gave the Chiefs a fresh set of downs. And what happened with that? They went right down the field and scored a touchdown. And that's the story of the Chiefs. That's been the story of the Chiefs for the past 6, 7 years. They get stopped on offense, and then you see the yellow come in, and it saves them every single time where they can go down and get a game winning touchdown or field goal. But to your point, though, Mohammed, I am with you on the fact that Bo Nix is the future quarterback. We lost this game today because of a missed field goal. Like, people usually say, oh, well, the Broncos had plenty of opportunities. Yeah, we did. Bo Nix was doing all the right stuff. He was doing everything. I mean, the defense for the Chiefs, they were kind of harassing Bo Nix today, too.
Yeah.
But he made plays. Whenever he needed to make them, he made them. And this game, this loss is not on Bo Nix by any stretch of the imagination.
So,
He, like Cortland Sutton, I think he had, I can't remember how many attempts, but I know he had like 70 yards today. Bo Nix had 2 passing touchdowns. I'm happy with that. And the Broncos did rebound really, really good from last week. They got completely annihilated last week against the Ravens. And this week, They came back and they looked like they had fight in them.
Hmm.
Before we move on more, though, I want to get this comment up here to show support to our people in here. Michael, he said, "Good evening, Ed and Mohammed." Hey, Mike, what's going on, man? Thank you for
What's
joining
up,
us tonight,
Michael?
bro. I appreciate it.
Hey, Michael.
But with that said, Bo Nix is the future. Like this team, like they still like I still think they need a number one receiver. They still need that tight end. Estime, I can't say anything, man. The kid came out and balled out today. He had a great
Yeah,
game.
yeah, he
You
did.
know,
He sure did.
he hung on to the ball. He didn't fumble it. I think if I remember, there was a stat I think I saw in the first half. He was like averaging what was it like 6 or 7 yards a carry. Like
Yeah,
he was doing pretty dang good. Um, so I think I think Williams is gone. As much as that sucks, like I was really rooting for him, but Williams, he's just a shell of his former self. That we've talked about before. He ain't got no vision. He can't see the holes. He can't. Um, but yeah, this was a close game. Honestly, it just seemed like every single time the Broncos started building momentum or the Chiefs would make a mistake, it always seemed like there was a yellow flag. Like
like yeah,
every single, and I'm not one to really, I don't like doing that, but it's like, how many more times do we got to go through this crap? It doesn't matter if it's against the Broncos or whoever. Every single time the Chiefs make a bad play or the team that's playing that makes a good play, you always see the yellow come out.
Eddie.
And
I started expecting it. Like I'd be like, just watch, they're gonna throw a flag, and you know it. There's gonna be a flag, illegal contact or some, you know.
I, I like anytime I saw the Broncos, like even there was a player later in the game where estimate, I think it was right the first drive we had after halftime,
Mhm.
first drive of the second half. Estimate breaks loose for like a 11-yard game. What do you see? Whoop, a flag. Like anytime the Broncos started building momentum, you just see the yellow fly out. Whether if it was a stop on defense or the offense starts getting into a rhythm, it's just like, nope, sorry. Whoop.
Flag.
And honestly, I wouldn't be as upset about the flags on the Broncos, Muhammad, if they were at least consistent. If they would throw the flags on the Chiefs whenever they do something. And I'm sorry, I understand a lot of the times any offensive line, you're going to see a lot of holding calls on every offensive line. But, and this is the thing I was saying earlier too. Like people say, oh, well, the Chiefs get flagged more than anybody else. Okay, even if that's true, give them the benefit of the doubt there. Okay. Certain flags at certain points in the game
Make a big
dictate
difference.
the outcome of games. You could
Yes.
throw a flag for a holding penalty midway through the second quarter and the score is 14-14, whatever. That's not going to dictate the outcome of a game. But whenever, the Broncos or whatever team are trying to drive and go up by 3 scores and you throw a flag, that dictated the outcome of the game. Because if the Broncos keep that drive alive, maybe they get a field goal out of it. And that forces the Chiefs at the end of the game to get a touchdown. You know, um, it just to me it's wild. I'm just getting sick of it. But anyway, let's get off of that. But anyway, the Broncos right now, even after all the games, the Bengals I think lost on Thursday. The
Mhm.
Colts got absolutely destroyed today. I don't know if you saw, but the Chargers did beat the Titans today. But the Broncos are still sitting at the 7th seed in the AFC. They're still in the playoffs. Um, but with that, the next 3 games, the Broncos got 3 more games until the bye week. I think their bye week's week 14. They got
Mhm.
the Falcons at home next week, who the Falcons are good. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not really terrified of them by any stretch. Then you got the Raiders in Las Vegas, and then you got the Browns Monday Night Football here in Denver. What is your record prediction for the next 3 weeks, Mohammed?
I could see them at least winning two, Eddie. With the Falcons, the Browns. I don't know. Maybe if they probably would lose a game, I would say it'd probably be at the Falcons, and I doubt that. But I would say at least winning two games, if not three.
I think they go undefeated in this next
We're
three
not.
game stretch
We're not. Okay.
because they like I said this after last week's loss to the Ravens. This was the Broncos, the meat of their schedule right here. These were the 2 hardest games on their like this was harder than Seattle. This was harder than Pittsburgh. Like you have the defending Super Bowl champs in their house week 10. And then you got the Ravens the week before that in their house. You got both teams from the AFC Championship game last year, in their house, back to back weeks on the road. Like, I picked the Broncos to lose both these games. But now it's like the schedule lightens up. Yes, Atlanta's good, but they're not as dominating as the Ravens or the Chiefs. Like, that should be a relatively, I'm not going to say easy win, but you should be able to win that game, especially since you're here at home. And then you got the Las Vegas Raiders in, Vegas. We've already beaten them once this year. Like, come on. We're going to beat them. Like, I ain't worried. So there's 2-0 right there. And then the Browns, people, like, they're a mess. The Browns are a hot mess. I think, what are they, 2-6, 2-7? They're not good. I mean, yeah, they were worse whenever they had Deshaun Watson. Now they got, I think,
Mhm.
DTR back there. But we played DTR last year and we smoked the freaking Browns in Denver. What was it, 29-12?
Something like that, yeah.
So I feel like the Broncos go on a 3-game win stretch here. They just lost to the like today they look like they were pissed off, in my opinion. They got blown out by the Ravens last week. The Broncos came out today pissed off and ready to play. And it showed, especially early on in the game. I feel like next week, now that they played the Chiefs at Kansas City, they got beat by them. They barely lost. I think they're going to come out next week against the Falcons, and they're just going to go out there and be extra pissed. They're going to beat them. They're going to sweep the Raiders, and I think they beat the Browns, and they go into their bye week 8-5. Um,
That would be sweet, Eddie.
8-5 at the bye week, week 14. Then you come back from the bye week. I think you have the Chargers after that in Los Angeles. The last 3 games, the Chargers in Los Angeles. You got the Bengals in Cincinnati, and then you got the Chiefs here at home, week 18. Now, I'm not, I'm not going to sit here and say it, but I think the Broncos can go undefeated the rest of the year. I really do.
I don't think
I
that's
feel
far
like
fetched.
I don't think it is. The reason why is because the Chargers, we lost to them at home, but I think this is going to be the next game is going to be different against the Chargers. The Bengals, their defense is even worse. Like, they're terrible. I watched them Thursday night. They couldn't stop a runny nose, dude. They're not good. And then, like I said, week 18, I think the Chiefs are going to sit their starters. If they keep going on the route they're going, they're going to sit their starters, and the Broncos are going to get a win there. As long as, I feel like the Broncos can lose 2 more games and still be in the playoff hunt and make the playoffs. They could lose 2 more games, wind up going 10-7, and they can make the playoffs. What are your predictions as of right now, Mohammed?
You mean as far as like how many games we're gonna win?
Yeah, and what do you think the Broncos' final record is going to be?
I think 10 is somewhere in there. I think 11 would be, if they win out, it'll be like 11, right? I think
If
so.
if they
If they
lose
win out,
one more, if they lose one for the rest of the season, they will go 11-6.
yeah,
If
I
they
think
lose
this
two
is
more,
it.
they go 10-7.
Yeah.
If they don't lose any more, they go 12-5.
Oh, say that one more time. But I think Eddie, 11 games, I think that's reasonable, and that should
Especially
put
with
us
the
on the
schedule
playoffs.
we have left.
Yeah, that should definitely give us a good. Yeah, I think she'd make the playoffs if we win 11 games. 10, it's like a maybe a wild card type
Yeah.
of deal.
Well, that's the thing. Like, the only team that really, really scares me, like, that I think will be a hard fought, we probably could lose. The one that I think we could lose mostly would
Chargers.
be the Chargers game. That's the only one. I think we could beat the Chiefs week 18. Like I said, they'll be resting their starters. I think Bo Nix, like, after seeing what he did, and this is the thing, too. Think about it this way. Sean Payton actually did what he was supposed to do today. Like, the Chiefs defense, like, they're supposed to be one of the top defenses in the league. Bo Nix was slicing and dicing them up. He was all over the place. Like, he was making plays. Like, I think he threw for like 220 yards and 2 touchdowns, you know, and the run game with Estimate. Like, I feel like they'll probably have a more run balanced offense, but it's like, dude, they can very easily, like, the way they played today, like, they'll dice up the freaking Cincinnati Bengals defense. Bo Nix will have a field day
Easy,
against them.
easy. Yeah.
And The Chargers defense is the only defense. Like you could say Browns, but I'm not really worried about the Browns. Like their defense seems like they've checked out because that team is
Mm,
not good this year.
not good.
And then you got the Raiders defense, which is garbage. You got the Colts defense. Oh yeah, that's the other one, the Colts. You got the Colts after the bye week too. Colts are a mess. Like I mean, Bo Nix is gonna like that's the only defense I'm scared of. Like even Kansas City's defense, week 18. Like I said, they lock up that number one seed by then. They're not going to play their starters.
Yeah.
And Bo Nix already had a field day against them today. Even on that last drive, like I didn't really watch it, but from what I heard, he was just slicing and dicing up that Chiefs secondary on that last drive, getting them down in field goal range. So, man, it's going to be fun to watch. Like I said, the only defense I'm scared of is
Mm.
the Chargers. And maybe by that time, maybe Bo Nix learned from his last game against the Chargers. Maybe he beats them. Maybe he slices them up.
Hey, Eddie, I wanted
What's
to
up?
ask you this. So at this point, you know how everybody was kind of critical on Sean Payton when he picked Bo Nix 12
Yeah.
overall and saying that he should have went second. At this point, do you think Sean Payton has won that pick?
Yes, he has.
I
If you
agree.
look at the stats and the way Bo Nix has played this year, he's outplaying Caleb Williams.
No?
The only rookie quarterback I could say honestly that's playing better than Bo Nix right now is Jaden Daniels.
Jaden,
That's it.
yeah.
Bo Nix is outperforming Caleb Williams' stats, and if you watch him with the eye test, he's outperforming Caleb Williams there too.
With all the toys that he has, it's just crazy, Eddie.
That's the other thing
Caleb.
too. Like it's nuts, man. But the other thing I wanted to touch on with you is that like this offense, like they're playing better. Like I still like we still need a number one receiver. Um, and Sean Payton, like his game plan this week changed. He played to what he saw the Kansas City was weak at. Like, but like I said, it was a more balanced offense this week, like it was last week. Run, pass, run, pass. And whenever they got up to the line, if they saw something on Casey's defense, like, "Ooh, we can get a big run here," they would check into the run. Bo Nix would, and boom, they get a big run. And he would see, whenever they came out and saw the defense, what kind of zone they were in, what kind of coverage they were in, boom, he would dice them up over the middle. Like Sean Payton actually called a good game. Vance Joseph, he needs to stop playing zone. I'm sick of watching it. I counted 4 plays today, at least four, where they were in zone coverage and Kansas City was able to get like a big, like over 10-yard game, whether if it was a run or a pass. I'm like, Joseph, what are you doing? Stop. Stick to freaking man coverage. I'm tired of seeing our defense get torched because you're not doing what they do well. It drove me up the freaking wall today, man. Um, got another one here from Michael. Let me click it here. Oh, there we go. I said that when the Broncos drafted Bo Nix in the 2024 draft, he was going to be the future quarterback going forward for the Denver Broncos organization. Go Bo Broncos. I like that. Yeah, like he is the future. Like you, the only two players I can honestly like I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if like the Broncos were going to get rid of players, the only two I can honestly say is 100% safe on this roster right now would be Bo Nix and Sertan. That's it. I think
Yeah,
anybody else would be up for grabs right now, but
true.
that's just my opinion. But with how close the game was, Muhammad, like, were you surprised or were you just kind of like, eh?
I was surprised, Eddie, like when they started like going for like scoring touchdowns and stuff, and we were like kind of like ahead of the Chiefs. I was like, that's not what I expected, especially coming out of that game with the Ravens, you know? I didn't see that happening, you know? And then towards the end, I was like, are we about to beat the Chiefs for real? You know, and then you know what happens. But like I said, Eddie, it was just that field goal. We could have been having a different conversation about the Broncos, you know?
Yeah,
So that
100%.
just
And
it just the potential, Eddie. Like when I look at this game and I see how Bonix has, you know, improved from one game to another, and then he doesn't even have a number one receiver. He doesn't have a number one type. You know, all these things are missing around him. But we still in this situation. I just think about next season once we have, you know, more talent around him and stuff. Like where could this game, where could this team be? You know, it's gonna be impressive.
Yeah, I agree. And like I was saying earlier, honestly, I the Chiefs are not good. They're not. Like I said, once again, I hate bringing this up, but every single time the Chiefs have a bad player, the opponent has a good play. You see the yellow flag. Like the Super Bowls they've won, you know, championship games they've won, regular season games they've won. You can go back and look. There's always a flag that flies that benefits the Chiefs at a key point in the game more than anybody. And if they don't get those flags, I guarantee you the Chiefs don't have 3 Super Bowl rings right now. I guarantee you that. Um, but with that said, like this Chiefs team, like I don't think they're going to get any better next year. Like based on what we've heard all year, this is one of the top defenses. The Chiefs defense is one of the top defenses in the league. It's right up there with the Broncos defense. Like Patrick Mahomes, like I'm sorry, I've never thought he was good. Like I don't. Like you get like I mean, yeah, it happens with every quarterback, but his footwork is not good. Like I said, multiple flags. Like if Patrick Mahomes doesn't get these flags, if most of these flags that get thrown for the Chiefs offense don't happen, like half of them don't happen, we're probably not talking or thinking about Patrick Mahomes the same way as we do right now. I honestly believe that. You take half them flags away that helped him win games over some phantom call or going the Chiefs way or whatever. I don't think we're talking about Patrick Mahomes, in this offense like we have been or whatever. But honestly, this Chiefs offense, I don't see getting any better. I don't. They got DeAndre Hopkins. They drafted Xavier Worthy, who's actually a decent receiver. I do like the kid. They got a good run game. Um, and Travis Kelsey, every year he just keeps getting older. Like eventually he's like I think already this year he's kind of fell off a cliff. I mean, he's still okay, but I don't think he's the same tight end he was like a year or so ago. I really don't. This offense is only going to get worse. And the defense, honestly, is probably at the best it's ever going to be for the Chiefs. So I don't expect this team to get any better after this year. And the Broncos, like you said yourself, Mohammed, they don't even have a number one tight end. They don't have a number
Nope.
one receiver. They don't even know who their number one running back is at this point. Wait until the Broncos get that true tight end, that number one
Oh boy.
receiver, the surefire running back. You're telling me this offense ain't gonna be better than the Chiefs offense? Like, please. I don't believe that for a second. Um,
Eddie, they're definitely in a decline. They're not going up, that's for sure. And like I said, they're
they
just getting a
plateaued.
lot of help. Yeah, they're getting a lot of help from the referees. I
Yeah.
mean, and
The
everybody sees
the
that.
Chiefs as a team, in my opinion, have plateaued. They plateaued, I think, last year, or was it the year before? The year
The year before, I
after
think.
they lost Tyreek Hill.
Mhm.
I think that was 2022. They didn't have Tyreek. They they still won the Super Bowl, but ever since then, they've gotten younger at receiver. They brought receivers in, and it looks like for the past 3 years, 2022, 23, 24, they've plateaued. They're not going any higher.
Speaking of
Like,
Tyreek, Eddie, when is he gonna be a free agent?
honestly, I don't know. He signed that deal last off season. I think it was like a 3 year deal or something. No,
Would
it
you
was right
would you
before the
like that, Eddie?
2020.
Though
I don't know. Like people like him because he's fast, but he's over 30 now. He signed that
yeah.
deal whenever he got traded to Miami in the offseason of 2022. So it'll be 3 years. I think he signed like a 3 year deal. He might be a free agent after this season. I'm not sure. So, but I don't know if he'd be worth it, honestly. Like if he took a pay cut, because like I said, he's over 30. His speed's gonna start decreasing eventually.
Yeah. I mean, for
Um,
him, it'd probably be like you get to play the Chiefs twice because
yeah,
they
and
traded you.
you come in with a Bo Nix that's already proven he can go toe to toe with Patrick Mahomes without any weapons. Imagine what he could do with you.
That's what I'm
You know.
saying. Yeah.
Um, but moving on here, got a couple more super or not super chats, but a couple comments here. Michael again, New York Jets are a mess. Yeah, they are. I don't know if you've seen that game today, Mohammed. I
I
watched
did,
it,
but I
dude.
heard.
They got obliterated. That was, and honestly, the only teams we're really competing with for if we were to if we were to end up the seventh seed by the end of the season, there's only two teams we're really competing with. I think it's the Colts and the Bengals. And we play both those guys this year.
Hmm.
If we can keep our head above water, these next 3 games, if we go 3-0, and then we play the Colts after the bye here in Denver, we beat them. We're up on them. Like we got the tiebreaker against them. Next week, I think you got the Chargers after that, and then the week 17 you got the Bengals in Cincinnati. You beat them, then you got tiebreaker on them. So if you can beat those 2 teams, like you'll have the tiebreakers because those are the only 2 that are a threat to us right now. I think the Chargers are at the 6th seed. I can't remember who's at the 7th seed or the 5th seed right now. I can't remember who it is off the top of my head, but I know the Chargers are the 6th seed. They're right in front of us. And
Hmm.
there's the 5th seed, and then all the division guys. But yeah, if we can beat the Colts and we can beat the Bengals, we got the tiebreaker. Like we'll stay at the 7th seed for sure at that point. Like there's no way. So, but moving on to the next comment here, we got another one from Michael here. The loss against the Chiefs will fuel the fire for the Broncos going forward. I believe it will too. I think next week against the Atlanta Falcons, who honestly, outside of the Chargers, like I said, if we're going off what I said about the Chiefs benching their, starters week 18 because they got their seating locked up by then, the Chargers probably being the most complete, dangerous team the Broncos face the rest of the year. I think the next team after that would probably be the Atlanta Falcons. Like a complete full team, like defense, offense are probably the best. I'd say the Chargers are probably the best out of that bunch, and then the Falcons, and then probably after that the Bengals because of Joe Burrow and the offense. But their defense is garbage. What do you think, Mohammed?
Yeah, I think Bonex is gonna have a lot of fun against going against our defense, and our defense is legit. So yeah, Kirk Cousins is gonna be harassed the whole time. Um, yeah,
Make make a phone call to VJ and tell him to freaking play man coverage next week, please, for the love of
and
God.
you know what, Eddie? Like I honestly don't know where this zone stuff came from. Like what is going on with him? Like why did he just decide to start playing more zone than I don't get it. Like what's the reason?
I think I think the reason was because okay, we started seeing a lot more of the zone coverage over the last 2 weeks, right?
Hmm.
Against the Ravens, against the Chiefs. I think the reason why is because he knew Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes are both a threat to maybe escape the pocket and pick up the first down. We've seen Patrick Mahomes do it a few times today. And Lamar Jackson, that's what he's known for is the run. If there ain't nothing there, he could take off and get the first down with his legs. I think that's the reason. He wanted to keep everything in front and have guys play zone so that way they could pay attention to the quarterbacks. That way, if they took off, the team could react. But at the same time, I'm like, no, I don't care. That's what QB spies are for then. Take one of your linebackers, put him on a spy. Have him keep like today they did there was one play where they put I think Nick Benito on a spy. I mean Patrick Mahomes still picked it up, but look what happened there. Patrick Mahomes had to run the ball there. Yeah, he outran Nick Benito. Okay, fine. I'm fine with that. I'm cool. But what happened? Why did Patrick Mahomes run? Because we were in man coverage and everyone downfield was covered. No one
Hmm.
was open. This is what I said last week. If the Broncos are going to lose, okay, I'm fine with it. If you're going to get beat on defense, I'm fine with it as long as you're playing man coverage and you're playing to the strengths of the players. If you're
Hmm.
playing zone and you're getting torched, that's going to tick me off.
And you got to make
So,
adjustments too. That's the thing I don't get. Like, make adjustments. What are you doing? If it's not
yeah.
working, just make some adjustments. Come on.
And that's the thing. Like I said, the majority of the plays you saw today where the Broncos got when the big plays the Chiefs had, like whether if it was through the air or on the ground, were when the Broncos were in zone coverage. Go back and watch the highlights. Broncos in zone coverage, they're breaking off a 10-yard run or a 10-yard plus pass down the field. It's no
Because you're giving
coincidence
them a
that
breathing room. I mean, yeah, you're giving them a breathing room. I mean, come on.
Patrick Mahomes is going to dice you up. He's going to find the soft, just
Yeah.
like Lamar. They're going to find the soft spot in the zone coverage, and that's where they're going to put the football. That's what I'm saying. Like, whenever they had Nick Benito on the spy, Patrick Mahomes ran. I think he got the first down on that play, if I remember correctly. But the reason why he had to run is because no one was open downfield because you were playing man coverage. Everybody was sticking to their guy. Travis Kelsey wasn't open. Xavier Worthy wasn't open. DeAndre Hopkins, none of them were open. They were covered. That's what Vance Joseph needs to do next week against the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, who do you got? You got Drake London, who Patrick Surtain's probably gonna, be smothering coverage on, and then I don't know the rest of the receivers off the top of my head or who they're tied. Oh, Kyle Pitts, he's probably gonna have McMillan or some, maybe Barton on him. Um, but play that smothering man coverage. Just stay there. Play that, and I guarantee you the quarterback's not going to have anywhere to go with the ball. And knowing that we're playing against Kirk Cousins next week, he might try to take off, but he ain't going to outrun nobody.
No, that's
He'll
what
get
I'm
taken
saying. He's
down.
not. His mobility is not what it used to be. Whatever. I mean, it's not.
And like I said, I'm fine with losing a game that way as long as we're playing what we're good at, which is man coverage.
Exactly.
I'd rather a quarterback pick up the yardage with the speed than us get burned over the top for like a freaking, 20-yard pass down the field, or a running back takes off for like freaking, 10, 15 yards down the field, gets a run play for 15 yards down the field. Play man coverage. Please, for the love of God, Vance, just do that one thing for us. Um, Moving on to the next comment here. We got another one from Michael here. Oh, crap. There we go. The Broncos players in the locker room were pissed after the loss against the Chiefs and ready to play football again. Yeah. I went back and I re-looked at that field goal that got blocked there at the end of the game. And like I told you before the stream, Muhammad, it was Alex Forsyth was over there. And it literally looked like he didn't even try. Like the ball was snapped. He didn't even like he was down like this. The ball gets snapped. He waits like one, two, and then starts coming up and just gets blown backwards. His feet go straight up into the air. It looked like he actually kicked the Chiefs defender up to block the freaking kick. Like I went back and I looked at it. It was
Hmm.
ridiculous.
He wasn't
Like it's
ready.
like, dude, put a little. If you put just minimal effort into that and just try to block, we win.
Yeah.
And it's just
I know. I
we were
know.
this close, this freaking close to beating the Chiefs in their house and handing them their first loss of the season. And
Oh
honestly,
God.
we win this game today. I think we go back up into second in the divisional. Even if the Chargers win, we go back up because we're at that point we'd be at 6-4. They would have. I think they won today. I think they're at 5-4. So we would have been a game ahead of them. Granted, we still have our bye week we got to play or get through, but yeah, it was just flat out ridiculous to see that. Um, but I wanted to bring this up to you real quick, Mohammed. I was looking at the stats earlier, and I think Patrick Mahomes had, I think it was like, I can't remember off the top of my head. Let me look at it real quick. Patrick Mahomes he went 28 of 42, 266 yards, one touchdown, no interceptions. Um, they had 57 yards rushing on the ground. The Chiefs did. Going to the Broncos, Bo Nix was 22 of 30, 215 yards, two touchdowns, and I think the Broncos rush for 78 yards. So the Broncos offense outplayed the Chiefs offense very easily today. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think Patrick Mahomes got like what was it? 50 more yards through the air than Bo Nix, but Bo Nix had two touchdowns.
Yeah.
You know, the Chiefs, they didn't run for very much. What did I say their running was? They had
58.
57 yards.
57.
So we had 20 more yards of rushing than they did today. Like the Broncos should have won this game. They should have. They had more rushing yards. Bo Nix, yeah, he had less, passing yards, but he had more touchdowns. And I mean, and that's the other thing. I don't know if you saw today, but the offensive line gave up a lot of pressure. There was a couple of plays where they sent all out blitzes, and Bo Nix literally had no time to throw because there was like either one free rusher or two free rushers right in his face the moment the ball was snapped. Bo Nix had no time to make a decision. The first one, he took a sack on. The second one, he just chucked up. Hopefully a receiver could catch it, which I'm not saying was good because it could have very easily been picked off. But, that's what happens whenever you got people right in your face. What were your thoughts on that, Mohammed?
Yeah. I mean, Eddie, just while you were saying that, I just thought about a different quarterback that we had last season being in that situation, where it'll be like 20 sacks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like Eddie, like with Bonix, it doesn't phase him, man. Like, I mean, even when he gets sacks or he just he's back to the next play. Let's go. It is not like he's rattled or anything. I think Mahomes was. He was
Oh yeah,
getting
he
really
definitely was.
frustrated. Yeah, he was getting really frustrated because our just defense did not stop. You know.
I wanted to, yeah, I agree with you, Mohammed. But I wanted to bring this up to you, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on this real quick. Okay, let me remove this real quick here. If you guys have any comments or stuff you want to put in the chat, go ahead and put it in there to right now, and we'll get to it here shortly. Um, but here's the kicker, Muhammad. I want you to listen to this. Okay, Bo Nix had 3 rushes tonight for -5 yards. He tried to run. They pretty much closed him off, and he wasn't able to get outside and pick up yards. Whatever. Marvin Mims had 3 attempts for 17 yards. Jaleel McLaughlin had 2 attempts for 12 yards. Now, this is where it gets good, man. I really want you to hear this, okay? Do you know how many attempts and rushing yards Javante had today? Just
One
off the top of your head, can you guess?
couple.
He had 1 attempt for 1 yard.
Yeah.
Audric Estime, 14 attempts, 53 yards. I
Hey,
think Sean Payton
mhm.
is sending a clear message to the fans and to the locker room that, hey, we're done with Javante. It's the Audric Estime show.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, and I can't wait, Eddie, because you know how I feel about Estimate. I was kind of concerned with the drops and all that stuff, but he's a rookie, and very good performance from him today. I mean tonight. I was very happy to see that he's fine. I mean, we talked about it last week, didn't we? About us trying like hope we can see Estimate play more. So yeah, I think we're really gonna start seeing him more. You know?
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited, man. Like if he could just hang on to the football, I feel like he's younger. I feel like he's gonna be that guy next year, or maybe we'll see it at some point this year. Maybe he'll finally start doing it where he's just gonna start running through guys. I mean, just running them over like a train. And then you got McLaughlin, the little scat back there. But I Williams is gone. Like it sucks. Like I still got his jersey here. Like I'll still wear it, but I was really having high hopes for him. But after today's game, the production and they really didn't even use him that much today. The majority of the time, if you watch the game, Muhammad, it was Estimate back there. Like I had to go back and look, but I think he probably played like I want to say probably like 80% of the snaps tonight.
Yeah.
Estimate did. Like he was out there a lot.
And
So
he made a
that to
point
me,
that I think we're gonna see him on on Sunday. He's gonna start playing more and more and more.
yep. And that to me just signifies I think Javante's done in Denver. I really do.
Yeah,
He,
yeah.
he he's done. Like it sucks. You know, I would they but that's the thing to me, like the trade deadline ended this past week, right? If you knew going into this game, going into this week that you weren't going to use Javante because you're done with him, why not try to trade him and maybe get like a 7th or 6th round pick out of him or something?
Maybe they
Or
tried, Eddie. Maybe they did try, but
maybe.
nobody. You know,
And I guess I just figured, hey, we'll just hang on to him until the end of the year in case something happens to one of these other guys and we still have him. But the next thing I wanted to get into, Muhammad, like I said, Bo Nix had 215 passing yards today. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. 8 receivers caught balls from Bo Nix today. Okay. Can you guess who the leading receiver was today for the Broncos?
was it Sutton?
Yeah. He had 6 receptions for 70 yards. Can you guess who the second leader was receiving today?
It couldn't be little Jordan Humphrey, was it?
Nope.
Who?
Someone that you wouldn't expect. Well, maybe you would.
Ville? Is it Ville?
Yep.
Oh, okay,
Bailey
yeah, yeah,
Holden, four
yeah,
catches for 39 yards and 1 touchdown. He got his first NFL touchdown today.
yeah.
Um,
That was exciting.
Sutton got a touchdown as well. But yeah, 4 receptions for 39 yards. The second one or the third guy that had the most reception was Adam Troutman. 1 reception. he had a big play, one catch for 34 yards. And then after that, it was just a bunch of. I think the next one was Lil Jordan Humphrey had 2 receptions for 23 yards. Lucas Cole had 2 receptions for 21 yards. Marvin Mims, 4 receptions, 13 yards. And Troy Franklin had 1 reception for 9 yards. And like I said, the only two that caught touchdowns, of course, was Bailey and Sutton. But I don't
He's
know,
splitting
man.
the ball.
I think Vele might be coming that sleeper, guy you might want to put on your fantasy team. I
Mhm.
feel like Bo Nix is starting to trust him a lot more. Like he's
Yeah.
targeting him. He's out there on the field more. I feel like Peyton at this point, yes, we're still in the playoff hunt. Like I said, we're still in the playoff picture. But I think now we're starting to see, in my opinion, like Josh Reynolds is out. Like we don't know when he's going to be back. And honestly, even whenever he comes back, we know Josh Reynolds ain't the future of the Broncos receiving core. You know,
Yeah.
the future of the Broncos receiving core that's currently on the team is, of course, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, and Vele.
Mhm.
And with that said, like, yeah, Cortland Sutton had 6 receptions for 70 yards, but Jordan Humphrey ain't getting no catches. Vele, who's a 7th round pick, is getting more targets and more receptions and more yards than Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin. Could we be seeing the resurgence? Like, could we be seeing Sean Payton starting to transfer over to that aspect now? Like, okay, we're going to start going away from the older guys, and we're going to start giving these younger guys more of an opportunity going down the stretch here. What are your
I mean, he did
thoughts?
it with Estime. Yeah. Yeah, Eddie. I mean, we were talking about it last week. Like, why isn't he doing that? As far as like the evaluation and all, but yeah, this week he did it with Estime. He's giving Estime more touches. Probably. I mean, that's what I would do. Eddie, it's time. You should just see what you got. Especially if we do make the playoffs, we're gonna need those guys.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I cannot wait. Like, I think honestly, like to me, I think Troy Franklin and Marvin Mims really, really need to start stepping up down the stretch here. These last, how many games we got left? 7. We got 7 games left. Those two really need to step up. I'm not saying that they're going to be gone after this year. Maybe Troy Franklin, but I think they still keep him for the comfortability of Bo Nix, just to have him there. I think once he starts, um, once he starts getting up to the NFL speed and he gets a little bit more experience, I think Troy Franklin will be a good asset for this Broncos offense with Bo Nix. But Marvin Mims, he really needs to step up, man.
Mhm.
Like, if you're not going to start stepping up in the passing game, like those targets are probably going to start going to Vele.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still under the assumption, I still strongly believe that Sutton's probably gone after this year. I really am. Like, they can get out of Sutton's contract after this year and not have any dead money. I'm pretty sure they still have Josh Reynolds for 2 more years after this year, the contract wise. So, like, if Vele plays really well down the stretch here, man, we could be seeing a lot more doses of him and less of Cortland Sutton. And
But Eddie,
honestly,
I
hmm,
think I think something wrong with Sutton. Maybe he's hurt or something. Like I don't know. Like he's not himself. That's not the Sutton that I know.
well, and that leads to like it was just one drop pass, but
Hmm.
I don't know. Were you watching right before halftime, Mohammed?
Yeah.
Remember when the Broncos got the ball back? I think there was like like a minute or so left in the
Hmm.
first half. The Broncos are driving down the field. Bo Nix throws a ball to Sutton. I think it was like 15 yards downfield. Sutton was wide open. Hit the ball. The ball hit him right in the hands. He drops it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, that very easily could have put the Broncos in field goal range, and they could have got a field goal before halftime. Like, I'm just like, dude, Sutton, you got to catch those, man. Like, if you want to be on this roster after this year, you got to catch those kinds of balls. Now, yes, Sutton had, like I said, 6 receptions for 70 yards and 1 touchdown. But man, when you got that ball, like those points right there at the end of half, that 3 you could have got could have been very crucial at the end of the game for the Broncos.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very, very crucial. Like, you got to make that catch, bro. That's the kind of, they're paying you that kind of money to make catches like that, to get you in that kind of range.
And I just
So
remember how he was asking for extension and all this stuff, and like, come on, dude. They gave you a little
And
more money, so you should do something.
that's what I'm saying. And he can't have the excuse, oh, I was covered. Like, even if you were covered, I still expect you to use your big body, box the guy out, and catch the
Hmm.
ball. But the guy wasn't nowhere near you. You beat the guy on the route. The ball hit you right in the hands. You were wide open. That's a catch you have to make. That's the reason why the Broncos are paying the money they pay you is to make those catches. So I don't know. I'm not saying Sutton's going to be out of the lineup or he's going to receive less targets next week. But if we start seeing Vele creeping up every week and playing better than Sutton, like by the end of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if Sutton's targets start diminishing and Vele starts going up, especially once Josh Reynolds comes back.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
take
Eddie,
that
I'll
with
be
what you will.
surprised. I'll be surprised if they keep Sutton. I know Javante is gone. Sutton's probably going to be gone. He's going to be cut, or he's going to go. Well, yeah, he doesn't have a. He's probably going to go to. He's going to be a free agent, isn't he,
I,
Courtney?
if I remember, I think he's still going to be under contract after this year. And but if you cut him, you're not going to have that much dead money.
Hmm.
I don't think you're going to lose that much. Like you
Or
can
maybe they
cut
just
him,
trade him.
or that's what I'm saying, or trade him, and you ain't going to lose that
Hmm.
much money. I think some team, to me, Sutton's clearly a number two. He's not a number one. At the best, he's a number two wide receiver.
Hmm.
You could probably go to a team and be like, hey, during the offseason, give us like a third round pick and we'll give you Cortland Sutton. I'll take a third round pick over Cortland Sutton any day. And then you can go into the draft and use that pick to maybe, like I said, the Broncos need a pass rusher desperately bad. They need a number one wide receiver. They need a tight end.
Tight
And,
end.
but I was good. I said running back last week, but if Audric Estime continues to improve and get more carries and he starts being that guy
Hmm.
we know he can be, running back you don't have to worry about. You just got to get tight end, receiver, and pass rusher.
Yeah.
That's it. And the Broncos' first round pick this year, I think, like I said this earlier, I do believe they're going to probably extend Bowles to another year. They'll probably sign him to another year deal just to keep that spot on the offensive line solidified for one more year. And then maybe next year in the draft in 2026, they'll go after a tackle in the draft. But I think
Draft
this year
one.
they sign him
Yeah.
to a 1 year extension. They take their first round pick. Their first round pick's either going to be a pass rusher, receiver, or tight end. If I had to bet, if they get rid of Sutton at the end of the year, that first round pick's going to go towards a receiver. If I had to make a bet, that what's your thoughts on that, Mohammed?
Yeah. Either a pass rusher or wide receiver. Um,
I mean, you could probably get a solid tight end in like the second round, you know, but like, but we could be both wrong. It could be a tight end. They could use the first round pick on the tight end because we know how Sean Payton loves using tight ends over the middle. And honestly, this kind of ticked me off today. The fact that I saw Lil Jordan Humphrey in the game, like he didn't make any mistakes today,
I
but
laughed when I saw him playing Eddie.
oh my god,
I said, I
I'm
know
just
Eddie
like
really.
whenever I saw him catch those two passes, I'm just in
Uh,
there like, oh my god, please don't fumble, please don't fumble,
don't
please
do
don't fumble.
something stupid. Hey,
But
Sean Payton loves him.
the only reason I think Lil Jordan Humphrey, actually, it is the only reason Lil Jordan Humphrey's on this roster right now, is he's our since we don't have a tight end, like a true, all around good tight end. The only reason why Lil Jordan Humphrey is on this roster is because he's our best run blocking receiver. That's the only
Yeah,
reason why he's on the roster.
yeah, that kind of makes sense. But
But
see,
if the
Eddie,
Broncos, oh, go ahead.
sorry. No, I mean going back to the draft. I think what they do with that first round pick is probably going to depend on what they do in free agency. Since that comes before. So just wanted to mention that.
Well, here's the thing. I haven't looked at the free agency list of all the free agents that are going to be available this offseason, but I don't know what pass rushers are going to be available in free agency, if there is any. I don't know of any wide receivers that are going to be in free agency this year or tight ends. Like, I had to go back and look at the list, but yeah, it's true. Like, if they sign a good tight end in free agency and, maybe a good pass rusher, they can take that first round pick. Hell, especially if they trade Sutton and get like an extra third, they could probably take their first. Depending, like with the way the Broncos are going right now, if they make the playoffs, they're probably gonna be picking in the 20s somewhere.
Mhm.
They could very easily take that 20th something all pick. If they find a receiver, tight end, or whatever they're looking for in the first round this year, whatever they don't get in free agency, they could probably take that first round pick. And if they trade something, like I said, for a third, take that extra third pick and move up into like the top 15, maybe top 10, and snag the guy that you want.
Yeah.
Because we know Sean Payton loves to trade up. If there's a receiver, a tight end, or a pass rusher, I think in that case, if they're going to trade up, it's either going to be for a tight end or a receiver. I think they'll. I think they'd rather stick with Jonathan Cooper and Nick Benito on the edge and go out and get Bo Nix that true weapon. You know what I mean? I think they'd
Hmm.
rather do that, help their young guy.
It's probably
But
gonna be offense. Yeah, that makes
don't
sense.
be surprised though if at the end of the season during the offseason you see Sutton get traded away for a third, and then during the night of the draft you see the Broncos say Broncos are picking at 24 or 25. You see the Broncos package that third round pick they got for Sutton, maybe even a player. Package a player that third round and their first round to move up to like 10 or something and snag the wide receiver of the future or the tight end of the future. Don't be surprised if that
Yeah,
happens.
they're gonna have a lot of options. That's for sure.
And they're going to have cap space. They'll have, I think,
Hmm.
after giving Miners, Sutton, and now Jonathan Cooper their extensions, I think the Broncos are sitting probably about 65 to $70 million in cap.
Wow.
So they'll have money to play around in free agency this year. And hopefully if there's a solid pass rusher out there, like I'm not there's not gonna be like a TJ Watt type pass rusher, you know, or a Nick Bosa type pass rusher, but maybe Kayvon Thibodeau from the Giants. He might be a free agent this year. I can't remember off the top of my head, but maybe you can go into free agency and snag him off the free agency market, and he probably wouldn't cost you very much.
Yeah.
So you get him, you go in the draft, you get your true number one, or you get that number one tight end, and then if like I said, if you package a third and a first together to move up to like 10 in the draft, you still have a second round pick where you can go and get the other player you need, whether if it's a tight end or receiver, whichever one you need. And then the Broncos can use that money to maybe fill other parts of the roster. You know, if they extend Bowles, I'm expecting if Bowles gets extended for a year, I'm expecting something like maybe a 1 year deal worth $10 million.
So yeah, that sounds
You know,
decent.
1 year, $10 million. You have him for one more year, and then next year in the draft, you go get your franchise left tackle. Um, but overall, Mohammed, we're sitting at 53 minutes right now. Overall, what is your feeling and I guess you could say, what do you project to happen the rest of the season?
I expect Bonix to keep improving as I've been seeing the past what 9 games. I expect him to keep improving, getting more comfortable as he is. Um, I have high hopes for Estimate. I want Estimate to just continue to develop and get better. Javante is probably gone, as we mentioned. But yeah, I think this offense is going to be moving vertical from now on. I don't see any regression, if you would. The defense is the defense. Just hopefully VJ stops with this zone stuff, and we should be fine. Having a really good run game plus that defense, that's a good recipe for success.
And a quarterback to actually make throws down the field and not,
Exactly. Yeah.
spin out of a clean pocket and take a sack.
Yeah.
Um,
Not gonna lose you the
but
game, that's for sure.
Yeah, and honestly, like I said, if he just stays in man coverage, this defense will be so much more deadly. And after
Mhm.
this offseason, I guarantee you they're going to add pieces to this defense. Whether
Mhm.
it's free agency or the draft, they're going to add pieces to make this defense more deadly next year. Um, but got a couple more comments here before we get out of here tonight. Michael in here again. The Broncos need to work on the second half of NFL games if they want to beat an NFL team like the Ravens and Chiefs, etc. Yeah, I agree.
True.
But Michael, to me, like that's going back to what me and Muhammad were saying. Like they got to start playing more man coverage. Stop doing. I understand. Like I said, I understand. Like I said earlier in the video, I understand why Vance Joseph did it last week and this week. Why he played so much zone coverage because he didn't want Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson to break out and beat him, then beat them with their legs. I don't care about that. Like I can handle that. Like you could put a spy up, rush three, put two spies up, whatever you want to do. In man coverage, the reason why Patrick Mahomes was having to run so much in man coverage is because no one was open down the field. They were
Mhm.
all covered. Like you're playing zone, Patrick Mahomes will pick you apart in zone coverage. He's going to find the
Yeah,
soft spot and he's going to bam, he's going to hit it every single time. He ain't, you ain't got to worry about Patrick Mahomes running in zone coverage because he's just going to pick you apart. He's going to find the soft zone and he's going to hit it.
exactly.
So yeah, I hopefully he sticks with man coverage from the rest of the season. Like I said, 90-10 or 95-5 man coverage, please, Vance. Um, Next comment here, we got a Chiefs fan in here. Appreciate your comment, man. Really do. Chiefs Kingdom, baby. I ain't got much to say to that other than just look out. We're coming for you week 18, bro. That's all I can say to you. But thanks for the
No
comment. Really
comment.
appreciate it.
No comment
Um,
to the doctor.
Michael coming back in here again. Boise State running back Ashan Genchi, or what is that? Genchi? I can't say his name. Is the running back to watch out for in the 2025 draft. Yeah, I've heard a lot about him.
I need to look him up.
But
Okay.
once again, Michael, like if Audric Estimate winds up panning out the rest of the season, I don't think they're going to go running back. Maybe they do. Maybe but here's the thing: like they already got McLaughlin, who they like. That if Estimate turns out to be that number one guy we can rely on, he's your number one. And they still got Beatty, who they like. And who was the other one, Muhammad? There was another back they really liked. They played in the preseason. Who was it? There was Beatty, and there
Um,
was another one. I
yeah,
can't
I know
remember
you're
his
talking about. I can't remember his name either. I know what you're talking about.
But
Uh,
I think
yeah.
they'll Michael, I think they'll be set on running backs, bro. I don't think they're gonna go running back. I think they're gonna go, like I said, they're gonna go pass rusher, they're gonna go wide receiver and tight end. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. Like Zach Wilson and Jared Stidham are both up for contracts at the end of this year, too. Like if they don't sign one of those guys, it's very possible that they go for a quarterback in one of the later rounds this year just to have their backup for the next couple of years, you know, and maybe another offensive lineman. I think like the only two positions I could think on defense that they might go for, like I said, would be pass rusher, whether it's defensive line or outside linebacker, and inside linebacker. The only positions I think they're going to go for in the draft. I think this draft for the Broncos this year, I think they got like 7 picks or something like that right now. Um, I believe this draft for the Broncos this year is going to be heavy offense, offensive
I agree.
line, tight end, wide receiver. Probably a backup quarterback if they don't sign Zach Wilson or Jared Stidham to another deal. Like I think you're going to see maybe two defensive players get taken by the Broncos, and the rest are probably going to be offense. That's just my
Yeah.
opinion. I could be wrong. What about you, Muhammad? What do you think?
Yeah, same. They're gonna be trying to help out Bill Nix. As we said, wide receiver, tight end. That's a sure thing. But yeah, I mean, it would make more sense. You got a rookie quarterback. You're trying to help him out. So
Oh, Michael came in again. Blake Watson. That's the other one we're
yeah,
thinking of.
that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, well, with that said, Michael, I don't think they're going to take a running back this year. Any other position on offense, I agree with you. They even a quarterback, like I said, because Zach Wilson and Jared Stidham, they're gone after this year, unless the Broncos sign them to a contract, which I don't think they're going to sign them to big contracts. But I think the Broncos would be more apt to take a quarterback, offensive lineman, tight end, receiver. Because they definitely need help at tight end. They definitely need a wide receiver one. I mean, offensive line. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are backups on this roster on the offensive line that are up for contracts as well. So, they might sign a few, but they're probably going to want to take one in free agents or in the draft. So, I'm just saying, I wouldn't expect the Broncos to take a running back in this draft this year. Like, they've taken running backs in the last, I think, 3 drafts, honestly.
hmm
You know, so I don't expect I mean, maybe not in the draft because I know in 2023 they got not McMillan, McLaughlin, and then who was the other one? There was another one I think they got before 2023. There was one they got in 2022. I can't remember who it was. It wasn't Javante. Javante was 2021, wasn't he? I think
yeah,
so.
because this is
But
his
they also
third
took
year.
yeah, they took Audric Estime this year. Now you could say they took Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin in back-to-back drafts, but
Hmm.
the Marvin Mims, he's the one that worries me the most. Like he hasn't really shown anything. Like he showed more last year. Yeah, he showed potential last year, and Bronco fans were screaming like, "Why aren't we seeing more freaking Marvin Mims last year?" This year we haven't really seen a whole lot from him. I mean, it could be the same thing with Troy Franklin. Like, we haven't really seen much of Troy Franklin. Like, he's had maybe one good play, maybe two. I
Hmm.
mean, he's had those two deep drop passes that could have been big game changers for the Broncos. But
But
you know,
Eddie, like with Troy Franklin, we could say he's a rookie, but Mims isn't a rookie, so he needs to watch
he's
out.
in the second year. He's going to be going into his third year. Like
Hmm.
the rest of the season, just like with Audric Estime, Mims is going to have to show out. And honestly,
Definitely.
I don't know if that's going to. We talked about it earlier, man. They got Sutton, they got Vele, who's starting to emerge and looking like a good receiver. They're gonna get Josh Reynolds back. You got Troy Franklin. You know, um, Mims. He needs to show something these last 7 games. He really does. He needs to go out there
Eddie,
and be like, I belong on this team.
they might draft a wide receiver and sign one through free agency. Maybe they have to do two just to see,
I don't know about two. Like I said, like they got two rookies this year that they like. Like Troy Franklin is but at the same time, like that's where I'm kind of like, I kind of agree with you on Troy Franklin, but it's like Vele was a 7th round pick. Troy Franklin was a 4th round pick. And Vele, I'm sorry, but he's outperforming Troy Franklin right now.
and Troy played with Bo Nix. Just doesn't make
Exactly.
sense, right?
Like I'm just saying, like, you
It's
know,
not looking good for Troy.
it's not looking good for Marvin Mims either. Like,
No.
you know, I still think like I do believe Sutton probably will be gone after this year. The Broncos are gonna they have to draw like the bottom line, you got a bunch of guys in the wide receiver room. Okay, that's fine. You got a guy, Sutton, who to me at best is a number two. That's it. He's just a number two. Everybody
Hmm.
else, third, fourth, maybe fifth string receivers. You got to get that true number one. You have to.
Yeah.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They have to get that true number one. And they have to get that tight end because we know Sean Payton loves using tight end over the middle.
Mhm.
And not only does Sean love that, but that would help out Bo Nix so much to give him two really good threats over the middle, or get a number one receiver that can beat people down the sideline, the tight end that can work the middle of the field. Like the freaking, like I said, we talked about earlier, Kroll and freaking Troutman were having good days today. Kansas City can't block tight end, or they can't cover tight ends. It's like the Broncos from the past 10 years. They can't cover
Yeah,
tight ends,
they cannot.
so please, for the love of God, get a tight end. Um, but last comment, Muhammad, before we get out of here and we give our final thoughts. Michael, Arizona Wildcats wide receiver, what is that? McMillan is a top 15 NFL draft pick in the 2025 draft. Watch out for next year. Hey, I said earlier, if the Broncos want to trade Sutton in the offseason, get a 3rd round pick or something, use their first and that pair that with that third and trade up to 15 and get this kid, do it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I have to watch him. I want to go look at his highlights and I want to watch him at the combine this year and just see what he does. But, you know, if
I
he's
like
that good, go up and
Mhm.
get him.
Yeah, I like the fact that we're gonna have two McMillans on the same team. That'd be cool.
Both
I'll
on the
take that.
offense, too. Oh, wait, no, one's
Yeah.
on defense, one's on
No,
offense. I'm
D1
sorry.
defense. Yeah, yeah.
but,
McMillian.
Muhammad, any final thoughts before we get out of here tonight?
Just what I said in the beginning of the show, Eddie. Bonix is the real deal, man. We should just forget about all this nonsense that people have been saying. This is the franchise quarterback. He's proven it. I don't think we should be discussing it anymore. We should be way past that at this point.
I agree, man. But I 100% agree. Like, Bo Nix
Mhm.
is the future. Like, we finally, after 10
Mhm.
years of searching, we finally have found our franchise quarterback. Bo Nix is the truth. Like
Yeah.
I said, you can go look at the highlights, or eye test, you can look at the stats.
Mhm.
At this point in the season, Bo Nix is the second best quarterback out of this rookie class. The
Yeah.
first one is Jaden Daniels. So, but that's it for us tonight, guys. If you think Bo Nix is the future and you're happy he's your quarterback, please hit like down here. Subscribe
Mhm.
also. Leave a comment. We might not get to it tonight, but we'll get to it next week. And
Yeah,
like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Please hit that bell notification so they know when we go live. But Muhammad, I'm excited, man.
me
Like I
too.
said, the loss today kind of stunk. It sucked. We should have
Yeah,
won. If Alex
came
Forsyth
close.
actually knows how to block, we probably win this
Mhm.
game. So, but thank you guys for joining us tonight, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Thank you, Michael, for your comments and stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Sorry about that. I really appreciate it. And make sure you guys keep coming in and watching us. We appreciate everybody that comes in here. Even if you don't comment, you can still like and subscribe to the channel.
Subscribe.
So we'll
Thank
talk
you.
to you guys later. Peace.